The Psychology of a Stoic Woman. Modern Stoicism for Women. There was once a girl who grew up in a small house filled with noise, laughter, and sometimes sharp words that cut deeper than anyone intended. She learned early that love could be both gentle and fierce, soothing one moment and storming the next. As a child, she clung tightly to affection, fearing that if she did not hold on, it might disappear. She wanted approval, wanted to be seen, wanted to be enough. In her innocence, she believed peace would come only when others gave it to her. As she grew into a young woman, the world widened, and so did her heart. She fell in love, as all do, with a fire that seemed impossible to tame. Every message, every glance, every embrace sent her spirit soaring. But when the one she loved grew cold, her world collapsed. She begged in silence, hoping he would stay, hoping she would be enough to keep him from drifting away. Nights became long, her pillow soaked with questions she could not answer.
Why do people change?
Why does love hurt? Why does my peace depend on another's hands? It was during one of those quiet, breaking nights that she stumbled across the old writings of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca. At first, their words felt distant, written for men in togas centuries ago, not for a heart like hers. But the more she read, the more she began to feel as though they were speaking directly to her. She realized they were not telling her to stop feeling, nor to become cold, nor to reject love. They were teaching her something deeper, the strength to love without chains, to feel without drowning, to live without losing herself. Her journey began slowly. She practiced silence where she once argued. She practiced letting go where she once clung. When someone insulted her, she reminded herself that the insult belonged to the one who spoke it, not to her. When the man she loved disappointed her, she whispered, "I cannot own his choices, only mine." And when fear visited her at night, she breathed deeply and remembered Seneca's wisdom. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Years passed, and she became a mother. Holding her child for the first time, she felt a love unlike any she had known, so deep, so fierce, that it frightened her. She remembered Seneca's counsel. When you kiss your child, remind yourself they may not be here tomorrow. At first, she recoiled from such words. How could she think of loss while holding such life? But she came to understand that this was not cruelty, but clarity. It taught her never to take a single moment for granted. Every bedtime story, every laugh, every small hand clutching hers became sacred. She loved her children not with the desperation of possession, but with the freedom of presence. As the years shaped her, so did grief. She lost friends, she faced betrayal, and she endured days where her reflection seemed like that of a stranger. Yet in every trial, she returned to the fire within. Gold is tested by fire, she would whisper to herself, and the soul is tested by hardship. Her pain did not crush her, it carved her into something steady. By middle age, people began to notice her calmness. In a noisy world filled with complaints and judgments, she became a quiet harbor. Women asked her how she endured disappointment without bitterness, how she could forgive without being weak. Men respected her for the dignity she carried without ever demanding recognition. Her answer was simple. I do not ask life to be different from what it is. I ask only that I meet it with courage. She still loved, still trusted, still gave. But her love was no longer desperate, her trust no longer blind, her giving no longer empty. She had learned the art of balance, the Stoic woman's psychology. She was soft without being fragile, strong without being harsh, patient without being passive. She knew that she could not control fate, but she could always control herself. And in mastering that, she found a freedom no heartbreak, no betrayal, no loss could take away. By the time she grew older, her face lined with both laughter and sorrow. People looked at her and saw not just a woman, but a force. A woman who had lived deeply, who had felt everything, and yet had not been broken by it. A woman who loved, but never at the cost of her soul. A woman who proved that to be stoic is not to be unfeeling, It is to love and live with such clarity that pain becomes strength and fragility becomes power. And when she was asked, near the end of her days, what the secret to her peace was, she smiled softly and said, "I stopped trying to own what was never mine. I learned to hold everything, even love, with open hands. That is where freedom lives. That is where a woman's true power begins."